I think the biggest thing we did was we met every customer in person in like the first or second meeting.
How'd you get to them in person?
So like we would send the emails and like, let's say like they were like, oh, let's get on a call. We'll be like, we want to meet you in person. We'll come to your office. And that was a very unusual thing for a lot of these IT people. And this could be an IT company. This could be an IT person at a company with like 50 or 100 people. And they may have never even met any of their vendors. And we'd go there. Not only would we go there, we would always bring them stuff like cupcakes or something like that as like a thank you for taking the meeting with us. And then we would just literally ask them for feedback, learn from them, write them a handwritten thank you card. And then we would do the same process over and over again. We did that so many times, David, where I think it just compounded into what Revivyn is today. But in the early days, getting that face-to-face time and then going back to that person and saying, hey, we were doing this, but we listened to your feedback. We realized that was not a good idea. And now we're doing it this way. You get so much trust off of that where you're like, they're actually listening to me. Every other vendor is just like throwing this stuff at me and saying I have to do it a certain way. The first thing that I love leading these combos with is like, what are we doing wrong? Like, what could we be doing better? Give us feedback. And when you get that feedback and say, hey, I'll be back here in 6 months, I need time, but then and continue that conversation, you really build trust and a reputation for yourself that I think cannot be replicated.
Were you open with these customers about where you were in terms of stage of the company, or did you present yourself as some big company? And how open were you with them in the beginning?
So I'm a very open person in general. I would say that we weren't in explicit details that like it's just myself and Anthony. You have to fake it till you make it a little bit in terms of that, especially when you're doing a sales call, you're going on the pickup, you're going in the elevator. So, I remember there was funny stories where we'd be in the elevator together. And if I was the sales guy, the customer would be like, that guy, John, really nice guy, that I've talked to, but I'm in the elevator with him and Anthony's there and he's like, oh yeah, that guy, he works at Revivyn. I know him. So there's definitely some of that happening, David. But at the same time, I think what we also did was a customer would say, hey, I need you to pick up hardware for me in Japan. And we would never say, hey, we have this facility in Japan. We'd be like, that's an interesting problem. Oh, you have that? Let's look into it. How can we do it? And then I would say, here's how you can do it now. We're not ready for that at that stage, but we will get there. And a lot of those early requests from certain customers helped us build the footprint logistically for Revivyn today, where we're now able to collect, process, and resell and repurpose hardware on basically every continent.